Pongal holidays. So make sure that you are submitting it on time, or else you'll be getting 0 for CT2 and CT3. And so those people, those groups whoever has not submitted their report, means video, kindly submit it on time. So that's it for regarding CT2 and CT3. And today, what we are going to see is we are going to look at we are going to have a session on presentation skills. Just 1 second, and I hope you are able to see the screen also. Yes, are you able to see
Yes,
the
sir.
screen?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, so as like any other skill, presentation skills also plays one of the major role when you get into working sector. Even when you are studying, you will be asked to do sort of a presentation. Is that correct? So for your marks or to improve your personal skills, still you need to know what are the techniques that you have to follow in order to do the better presentation. So correct. So particularly in this session, what we are going to say is which are the ways, which are the best method that you can follow to do the better presentations. So presentations skills and even the public speaking skills are very useful in many ways, in many aspects of your life as well as in the working sectors. So sometimes effective presentations and the public speaking skills um, are important. It can be, either sometimes in business or selling side, or even if when you go for a training, teaching, or when you go for a conferences. So everywhere, this particular technique would play a major role. So, correct, which makes you to feel more comfortable as well. When you know the sort of techniques how you can do the presentations, and when you follow these four methods, so plan, prepare, and practice and present. These are the areas where you need to focus more on. So when you are clear with what is that plan is all about, what is the preparation is all about, what is that practice is all about, and how you can present it. So when you know these techniques, and it makes you much more comfortable whenever you go for a presentation, whenever you go and do your presentation. And it also gives you a sort of confidence, and as well as the capability to give a good presentations when you know the techniques. It's correct. When you know what is the plan is all about, what is the preparation is all about, and what how much you have practiced on that particular areas, and maybe the sessions that which are the ways that you can do a better presentations. When you know that, that also gives a sort of confidence. When I prepare and when I come for the classrooms, that boosts my confidence. Is correct. So I have a little bit more confidence. So when I come for the classroom sessions, so on this part, suddenly, if I asked to speak on the particular topic which I have not prepared, for which I had no plan, for which I did not practice anything, it's very difficult for me to do give a lectures on the particular topics, at least for a certain period of time, at least in the beginning. So, right? So as a student, when you get into corporate sector, and you be sometimes, if suppose if you are getting into corporate sector, or even if you are going to start your own business, still you need to, or when you talk to your client, still you need to show sort of a presentations. It's okay. So what are your techniques, and what is the expectations that what sort of expectations that your client can have towards yourself, your companies, your organizations, and what sort of expectations that the students can have if you are going to become a lecturer, a professor somewhere in the institutions. So all those things you have to present it. So correct. So your presentation has to be very clear, and what sort of person you are, and what your goal, and what sort of expectations that the audience can have on that particular topic. So in order to make it very clear, there are certain techniques, and those techniques are related to plan, prepare, practice, and present. That's what we are going to see in the upcoming slides. And the presentation skills and public speaking abilities are not limited to certain people. Sometimes no, he can do the better presentations. I am not good at presentation skills. It's not in such a way. Sometimes your students, as a group, when we ask the people to do the presentations, sometimes no, you go and start introduction part. you know Having a low self-esteem sometimes and not encouraging themselves, and sometimes you tend to be an avoider, sometimes you be a resistor, so you never come up like an acceptor or a seeker. That also we will be seeing in the upcoming slides. What is it avoider, what does it mean by resistor and seeker and acceptor and all those areas. But these are there with everyone. So correct. So that's why I'm telling you that the presentation skills or public speaking abilities are not at all limited to a certain special people. So anyone can give a good presentations or perform public speaking to a professional impressive standards. It can be, you can do a better presentation. It's all about how much you practice and how well you prepare, how much time you have taken to prepare, how you are presenting it. Presenting is something that standing in front of the mirror or asking your friends to give a feedback, doing the mark session. So great, before you go and do the presentation, asking your friend to monitor which are the areas you are lacking and which are the areas you have to improve, and working towards those areas before you go and do the presentation. Second, it's a art of learning. So which are the areas that you are lacking. So those are the areas. It's all about. It's not particularly for the special people. They are not just made for doing a better presentation. It's all about anybody can do the presentations. Anybody can become a better public speaker. But it's all about how much you encourage yourself and which are the areas that you really working on. That is what really matters when you go for the presentations. And why to learn presentation skills. So guys, if you have any questions, please stop me then and there. And yes, of course, you can also stop me at the end of the sessions. I'm sorry, you can also ask a question at the end of the session also. So correct, suppose if you have any question related to presentation skills, you can also ask me. And the techniques and the areas that we are talking about today, these are the very simple areas which can be easily understood. Only thing is, we are not stressing more on that area. This what I used to tell my students is, when you go for you really study well, you really work hard, but what is most important sometimes is when you go for an interview, you sometimes they fail to make a proper resume. You are technically very strong, but you are lacking the very simple area of making a proper resume or answering for the first question. Can you please introduce yourself? No, very simple question, is that correct? But you are technically strong and you are having a good CGP, you are having a good percentage of marks, but still very simple question we don't focus more on. So in the same way, even if you are very strong in terms of technically you are very strong, you have a good knowledge on that particular topic, but if we don't know how to present it, that really going to put you in trouble. Suppose it can be based on your marks, or sometimes which would give you less marks sometimes, or when you go for the interview session. Suppose if you are in the teaching sector, you have to do the presentation. So guys, maybe you have to do for 10 to 15 minutes lecture on the particular topic. That gives a sort of impressions, and that is where that is going to give you a job, not what you have studied earlier, but that 15 minutes or that 20 minutes is in their hands. So, right? So which means whether you are going to get a job or not, it's going to be decided based on the presentations you give on the particular time. So, right? So what you studied, that also matters, because that is the reason behind that brought you to do the presentations. But if you fail to do a good presentations on in front of the people, that would also become the disaster for your career. So everything matters, is that correct? So even when you get into a job sector, when you become a senior employee, still you need to know how you can do a better presentation as well. So correct. So way to learn presentation skills to properly structure your presentation, the skills which makes you to do a to structure your presentation. So what is that structuring your presentation, that we will see in the upcoming slides. To overcome nervousness, if you don't, that's what I told you in the beginning itself. If I don't prepare and then I am coming for the class, if I would feel sort of nervousness. But even the people who come up with the preparation, lot of preparation, still they have a nervousness. But it's all about how you are overcoming those nervousness and to do the better presentation. To develop a powerful body language, when you do your presentations, you also learn what sort of body language that you can do. You might watch the number of videos on body language. You might study some of the theoretical aspect, which are the which are the best ways that you can make use of your body language. But still, when you start practicing it, so when you go for the sessions, that's a different story. So guys, when you get a feedback from your friend, they would tell you that they could notice that you are stressed and you were uncomfortable and your body language was not up to the mark. So understanding that, accepting the feedback, and when you work towards those feedback, that would always gives you a sort of a positive thing that you can make use of, which are the areas that you need to really work on towards powerful body language, to learn what not to do during the presentations as well, and as well, at the same time, to design and use visual effects, visual aids effectively. Visually, when you display something in front of the audience, which are the best way that you can do. With the slides, what I'm displaying now, I might have not used the same way before 5 years or 6 years. Is that correct? When you are doing when I was doing my undergraduate or a postgraduate, so those times I might have asked the same way. At the same time, after 5 years or 6 years, I may not be using the same slide, the same way what I'm displaying. So correct, somewhere the other, I might have learned some of the other techniques. So correct. So the same way to design and use visual aids, also you need to know what other presentation skills are, and you need to also learn about that. So why to learn presentation skills? To properly structure your presentation, to overcome nervousness, and these are some of the areas. Doesn't mean that there are also other areas, but these are the major areas that which we are discussing. To develop powerful body language, to learn what not to do during presentations, and to design, use visual aids effectively. Identify what type of speaker you are. Can somebody read? Somebody from G2?
Avoider, register, acceptor, seeker.
Okay. So can somebody respond other than who read? Can somebody read what? Can somebody tell me or guess what does that mean by avoider?
Sir, ignoring.
Okay, ignoring. That's a very simple word. I know exactly what you said is absolutely correct. Okay, ignore. Ignoring. Suppose when I ask somebody do the presentation, they try to ignore. Okay, so any other answer? Okay, fine. See, so why I am mentioning this particular slide is to identify what type of speaker you are. So in our classroom, there will be at least 5 to 6 members who are in the part. Okay, so as a avoider, and there will be some of the students as a resistor, and some of them would be acceptor, some of them would be a seeker. First of all, you need to know how important it is, to be a avoider. Is there gives you a positive side, or is there any credit to be being an avoider, a resistor, or acceptor, or a seeker? So being an avoider, what sort of advantages you have? If there is no advantage of being an avoider, then what is the use of being an avoider? So correct. The same way it is applicable for acceptor or being a seeker also. But what the avoider is someone. Why I'm saying this, why I'm talking about this particular slide is, if you are avoider, if you are a resistor, then you need to know, you need to learn a way to move yourself away from being an avoider, a resistor, to acceptor or seeker. So correct. Suppose if you are a avoider, so avoider is someone that, as somebody said, is being an ignorer. They just to ignore the things. Suppose when I ask them to do the presentations, or when I ask them to do speak on the particular topic, so when I randomly ask a question towards somebody, they always try to avoid. They do every possible things to escape from having themselves get in front of the audience. So they do all the possible things. So suppose randomly I will ask somebody. Sometimes I will be very particular. I mean any faculty. So any faculties in your classrooms, when they ask a question, okay, can somebody answer? Suppose if you have been in our classroom sessions, when I ask a question, what they say is, no, sir, I am not aware of it. They don't even take a steps to answer for those questions, no matter whether you are answering whether you are giving the correct answer or not. That really doesn't matter. Zacharias, but are you putting any effort to answer for those questions? They never do that. They always try to they do every possible things to escape from the audience. So, those are the avoider. So, they never come up. And even in the group activities, what they would say is, no, I will give the conclusions, but I really don't want to participate. Those are the students who would always say, like, having a network issues. If the genuinely some students say that they are having network issues, but what I'm saying is, I myself, have been avoiders, um, for sometimes it's okay, it's avoiders. I myself was a resistor. So what I'm saying is, it's nothing wrong being an avoider or resistor, but the thing is, there is no advantage or no credit, or there are no positive things that you will have being an avoider resistor. Why you are being an avoider resistor is to escape from being offended in front of the people, maybe from your other students. Sometimes you don't want somebody to make fun of you when you make a mistake. It's better not to talk. When you talk, you might be thinking that they will make fun of it, or they might make they will make a you don't want to become a comic element in front of other people in your classroom. So it's better not to talk. So only if you talk, they will make fun. If you don't talk, they will never know. So correct. So so you try to be an avoider or resistor. So some period of time, but you cannot be an avoider resistor throughout your life, because your job sector comes, then you need to your life comes. So you have to take a stand on the particular areas. So correct, you need to speak, or else you'll be asked to speak. So where you'll be into more set of trouble if you don't practice. As a child, in the beginning itself, if in terms of for the handwriting, or in terms of speaking on the particular language, if they don't develop those skills in the beginning itself when they are child, it's very difficult for them to speak when they are matured, when they become an adult. And in terms of handwriting, if they don't develop those skills, it's very difficult for them to develop once they are matured enough, once they become an adult, because they will make a fun of it, about the even about your handwriting also. So you have to develop in such a way. So that's why I'm saying, as a first year students, you are all very young. So now itself, you analyze yourself, you evaluate yourself, whether you are on which area you are standing. If you are an avoider or resistor, try to move yourself away from that, and at least be an acceptor. If you are not become a seeker, that's fine, but at least be in the the acceptor side. So correct, that we will see that. So avoider is someone, they do every possible things to escape, and the resistor is someone, they speak, they may have to speak, but they would never encourage it. So correct. So which means, no, as a group, if I ask somebody to randomly speak, they will never speak. And the avoider, no issues with them, because they don't even show their heads, and they just look down, and they would be showing a image like they are busy with some other things, or they are not aware of the answers. Sort of things they want to give an idea to the faculties or the presenter, the person who asked the question. But resistor is someone, suppose if I am asking or naming them, or telling their registration number, they would answer for it, but they would never encourage it, because they are forced to speak, they are asked to speak, they accept it and they speak, but they would never encourage it. So, okay, so today I'm calling a registration number 21 or 31, or any other registration number. They will answer for the question, But next time when I ask volunteers, they will never come up, and even in the group activities, they don't speak. But if they are giving their name, they will answer for it, but they would never encourage it in the future. That is what the resistor is all about. They resist themselves. Then being an acceptor, they will give presentations, they will speak, but they don't seek those opportunities. Great. They will accept it, but they don't seek opportunities. But what is the difference between being a resistor and acceptance? That's a one, small, difference. That is something that acceptor, they feel happy about their presentations. Okay, right? So when I call a registration number, when I tell them to speak, being an a resistor, they are not happy about it. The guy, so he asked me, so I did it. That's it. So correct. They never encourage it. Whereas, acceptor, what they do is, if they did a better presentations, they feel happy about it, what they have done, what they speak, what they have spoken. So sometimes they feel good about their presentations, what they have, what they had given to the audience. That's what acceptor is. So being a seeker, they always look for the opportunities to speak, and they always encourage themselves. When I call for the volunteers, they are the one who are always ready to speak. I know they are the one who are always ready to come on the stage to present in front of the audience. No, those are the seekers. So what I'm expecting is, I don't even expect to all to become a seeker, but at least to be in the part of acceptor or seeker. It's a maximum you try to become an acceptor or a seeker. Don't ever be in the part of avoider or resistor. Sometimes it's very, you might be thinking that it's sometimes it's very difficult to move from one place to other, but it's all about your mental, your psychological setup, that what you have. Once you set up your mind, okay, so that's when, fine. So what if they make fun of it? It's nothing to do with your career. So correct. So you just take a step and try to move yourself away from being an avoider or resistor. This is what the all about, identifying what type of speaker you are and moving yourself towards being an acceptor as well as seeker. Is that understood? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we are going to talk about 4 steps for effective presentations, and these are the major areas that which we talked about from the first slide, starting from plan, prepare, practice, and present. So, okay, so you will see what is that is all about. So, planning usually include there are certain number of questions. Who are your audience? You have to plan it accordingly. Your plan has to be based on this set of questions. There are a number of questions, but these are the major questions that you need to look into. So who is your audience, or so plan accordingly. And why are they there? What is the reason behind? So whether you are they want to just listen to you, or they want to have knowledge on that particular area. Why are they there? Whether you are there as a motivational speaker, whether you are going to give a knowledge on the particular topic. Based on that, you have to plan it out. And what is your goal, and how long will it be, the duration of your presentations, and where will it take place, on the place, on which where it is going to take place. So you need to plan on the place where you are going to do the presentations, and the duration of your presentations. Accordingly, you have to plan it out. You have to have you need to allot time for your introduction part and all those things. And what are your goal, and what all can be the expectations from your audience part. You think yourself as an audience, and maybe these are the things that audience would expect, or you can also ask the organizer, who asked you to come for the presentation. Suppose if you are going to other universities or institutions, or corporate sectors, or even to your employees, in future, suppose once you get a good job, what all can be the expectations, and why are they sitting there? So based on that, you need to plan it out, and who are your audience, that also you need to have a clear plan on. Accordingly, you have to plan it out. So now what we are looking at, what we are seeing is the example of a 15 minutes presentations plan. So sometimes your presentations can be 5 minutes presentations, or when you go for a conference, it can be when you are being a presenter, when you are doing a paper presentation, it can be 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 30 minutes, or when you go for the 1 hour presentations, so you have to have a clear plan how you are going to make use of your time. That's very, very important. But here I had given you a 15 minutes presentation plan, but this is so moreover it's the same. Even if it is for a 3 hours of presentations or 2 hours presentation, it's going to be same. Only thing is, for the introduction part here I have mentioned 1.5 minutes. That would increase. So, right? So it can be 5 minutes or 10 minutes. We are going to talk about the introduction part. Then main body, we have divided into three parts: section 1, section 2, section 3. Where for the 15 minutes we have segregated like 3 minutes for section 1, 3 minutes for section 2, and 2 minutes for section 3. The same way, you can increase your time based on the limit of your presentation. And the same way, you can also reduce your timings. Suppose if it is going to be a 5 minute presentation, then you have to reduce your time accordingly. Why we are why you need to have a 15 minutes presentation plan or 30 minutes presentation plan or 10 minutes presentation plan is it's all about the first most important thing is the repetition of the points which you are discussing. So correct. What is the repetition of the same points? Same way. Why we are having to have a plan is we are no way we are going to talk about identify. I am talking about my presentation. What I am doing now, I am not at all going to talk about avoider, resistor, acceptor, or seeker in the upcoming slides because it's already done. So correct. So, but it's all about how you, how what sort of plan you have done that. So, being an acceptor seeker, that part might have been over here itself. So correct, in the introduction part itself, it's over. So no more repetitions. I am not at all going to talk about those for identify what sort of a speaker you are, and that I am not going to touch at all. So that is the introduction part. So main body, I am going to talk about different areas, different things. Is that correct? And the conclusions, but also which is there in the upcoming slides. So repetition of the same points is not going to be there. It's not at all going to be there in your presentation. In order to avoid that, you can have a 15-minute the presentations plan, and at the same time, you are not at all going to miss out any points. So correct? Because what are you going to talk about in the introduction, what are you going to talk about in the main content, and what are you going to talk about in the conclusions part, and what set of questions that you have. But if you don't have a proper plan, it would be like the you'll be the points would be mixed up. Sometimes which you're supposed to speak at the end. Sometimes you forget certain points, then suddenly you think about certain areas and you talk about that, then you talk about the part which you supposed to speak in the introduction part, then which you're supposed to speak in the main body, maybe the last 2 minutes you will talk about here. So in order to avoid that, you need to have a proper plan, and how much time you are going to take, and which you are going to do it in as a introduction part, and which you are going to do it as a main body, which you are going to do it as a conclusion part, as well as the questions, which you have to have a proper plan on that. Now we are talking about the structure. So which is the first area, first technique, on prepare. This is one of the major area when you go for the presentations. So prepare, following points must keep in your mind. So one is structure, then the prompt, visual aids, voice, appearance, and style. So structure is all about structuring your presentations, the overall structure, which includes objective of your presentation, introduction part, main content, summary, which would also include the conclusions and recommendations, as well as the questions. The overall presentation becomes the structure of your presentation. Is that correct? So the structure of what you're going to deliver to your audience, that you need to prepare in a proper manner. So correct. So in the better way, you can follow different techniques. but how you are going to make your structure of your objective of your presentations, and the introduction part, main content, or the recommendations or conclusions, as well as the questions part. So you need to structure it. You need to have a proper. You need to prepare. Properly. You have to prepare all those contents. So okay, that's what all about structuring your presentation. Then prompt is all about with the short bullet points, the keywords of what you have, what you prepare. Now before I go for the presentation, so these are the keywords. For me, these are the keywords that I prepared for my presentation. Suppose if we consider this as a presentation, these are the keywords. So correct. And when you mention the keywords, you cannot just tell your audience, okay, so preparation, which you got to have structure, prompt, visual aids, voice, appearance, and style. You also need to explain it. Your explanation should not be there here in the slide, but you have to explain by your own words. So guys, that's why you are having a keywords here. So prompt is all about having a short bullet points or the keywords which you have to prepare. So correct. So that you can explain on those areas. On visual effects, visual aids, use simple fonts, colors, and graphs. Maybe like you can have 3 to 6 bullet points per slide, and you also need to check whether whether the visual aids that you use is properly working. Before you're displaying that in front of your audience, you need to also go through that. And the voice, it has to be louder and clear than your normal pitch. So correct. So the way you speak normal days, you cannot. Doesn't mean that you should not follow the same way. You should not speak the same way you speak. But as a presenter, your voice has to be audible to the audience who are sitting at the last row. So you have to see that you are having your voice is louder and clear. Maybe sometimes you can also, even if you are speaking in the mic, you can ask the people. You can ask a question. Can the people who are sitting on the last row are able to hear me? Or you can ask a set of question to the audience who are sitting at the last row, whether they are able to answer it or not. Whether they know the answers or not, that doesn't matter. The first thing is whether they are able to hear your voice, whether they are able to listen to your voice, whether you are able to listen to the question that you ask. If they don't even know the answer, what was the question that I asked? Ask them to repeat the questions from the last row. So when they answer the questions, make sure that it's audible to everyone, and you can start continuing with your presentation. So correct. And then you have appearance. Appearance is all about your dress code. You are not supposed to go with having a pink color or red color, green color, yellow colors. So all those bright colors you don't wear, don't go with party wears on that to do the presentations. So correct. So maybe you can go with the dark colors, like business wears. So wear comfortable shoes as well, and you have to make yourself that you are confident enough, whether you are confident or whether you are not confident, but you need to display a sort of image to your audience that you are very confident in terms of doing your presentation. So correct. So all those fears and the having a low confidence and everything, what you have to do it, you have to keep it away from the podium. So before you start going and doing your presentations, you have to keep everything outside. Then if you want, you can wear it again, or if you learn something, that how you can develop your, which are the ways that you can boost your confidence. It's nowhere, you can leave it there itself. I'm talking about stage fear, that what you have, or the having a low self-esteem, or having a low confident level. So all those things you can avoid before you start going and doing your presentations. Appearance is all about wearing your dark colors, business like, and wearing a comfortable shoes as well. So correct, you have to do that. And style, use words and sentences that you use in normal days. Be yourself, don't try to copy other styles. Don't, sometimes you should not be the comic element there in front of the audience, and they should not make fun of your tone of your voice or the accent that you use because you are in India. sometimes when you go for the presentation, when you listen to some of the presenters, they try to copy US accent or the European accent, which is not at all necessary. What is more important is the pronunciation that you use on the particular word. So okay, that's what really matters, and that's what people are also expecting. So when you speak something, and the people who are sitting there, who are as an audience, each and everyone should understand what you are talking about. So correct, they are not there to you are not there to impress, or you are not there to surprise with your accent, but you can give them the surprise, the knowledge that what you have. So correct is that is what the surprise they are expecting. They are not at all expecting to have a US accent or American accent. What really matters is whether you are able to transform the knowledge what you have on the particular topic towards the audience. So that is whether you are able to uh, bring your audience get involved with your topic. So correct, that's what really matters. So correct, you can still work towards your accent when you are knowledgeable, when you're there on that particular place, and if you are okay with that accent, and you also get a sort of feedback what sort of accent that you have, you can still proceed with that accent, because those set of accent you only for the presentations that you are using it. On normal days you cannot follow the same accent when you talk to your family members, when you talk to your friends, when you talk to your relatives. They don't expect to use their particular accent, because only doing a presentation you are doing it. So get a feedback on that accent. Suppose if you are using that accent, you get a feedback, and if you are getting a positive feedback, you can proceed. But if they are saying like, no, you don't stress on that particular accent or the set of words, then you learn something that you are not going to make use of that accent, or the maybe the sort of vocabularies that you use in front of an audience. That you have to look into the sort of style. Then questions part, there is another thing. Questions, sketch an idea that what kind of questions audience may ask, and have a prepared answers on the particular questions before you go on do your presentations. Sometimes when you ask the audience, do you have any questions, any clarifications? Sometimes two things you can do. One is to avoid, because sometimes they would ask a questions, maybe you may not have a better answer for those questions. Okay, so unnecessarily you are going to put yourself in trouble. So in order to avoid that, you can ask them the question, um, uh, give them the 5 seconds or 6 seconds. If they don't ask any question, what you do is, whatever you have a set of questions right within yourself, you tell them these are the sort of questions that audience would ask. You go by one, maybe one or two questions or three questions maximum. You tell them you just say the question and answer for the questions. And still after answering for those questions, still you can ask them, do you have any other questions other than this? And if they are not asking any questions, that's absolutely fine. You can close your presentations. Second, this all happens after the conclusions part. So you're not going to do that after the conclusion. Then you are going to ask a question. If they don't ask any questions, you are going to say the questions what you prepared, and you are going to answer for those questions. Then with that you can also complete your presentations. Then we have practice. So first part, prepare is over. Then we are talking about the practice. So practice is all about, you need to do a rehearsal. You have to rehearse all points what you prepared, and you have to rehearse with all visual aids and handouts. You have to practice again and again to manage time. Rehearse in front of a mirror or a friend. So rehearse all points what you prepare. So correct, because sometimes if you don't practice, what happens is some of the important points you might miss out. But when you keep on practicing it, it's all about preparing for your semester examinations. For everyone, there will be a particular questions, the answers very well. It can be in your 10th standard or 12th standard, even in your BTech. There are some of the questions, the answers really well, which means when you are sitting on the exam hall, when you are writing the answers, that answer sheet, maybe the page number and the answers which you studied, that would run in front of your mind like a screen, like it would go in such a manner. So that's what happens when you practice more and more. When you keep on practicing on those areas, and the spontaneity that you have when you are presenting it would be really very high. So correct. So it's all about how much your time you have taken to practice it. So correct. So it would come the flow that what you have, what you speak, that at all that comes in a manner that you. It's all about how much time you have taken to practice it. So correct. So the first point, you need to rehearse all points what you prepared, and rehearse with all visual effects, visual aids. Whatever you have in the PPTs or whichever you are going to display, practice with that also, because so that which are the points you are going to talk about on the particular slide. At the same time, why you need to do with that is all about, suppose if the image is missing, suppose the image might be instead of here it would be somewhere here, which would put you in trouble, the audience part, that would looks awkward also. You cannot just you cannot ask them the permission to change or to put the picture in a correct order. So correct. So you have to do that accordingly before you start displaying your PPT, and practice again and again to manage time. Particularly when they give you a time limit, you have to practice it, and you have to complete it within that particular, within the stipulated time. It's okay, within the particular time, whether you are able to complete your complete presentation. Okay, so completing it on time, that also which all about doing the right thing at right time. So okay, so speaking that, and at the same time, it's giving importance to the important things. So again, that's what it's all about. Like, when you keep some of the importance point at the end, or some of the keywords at the end, what happens is, you can stop, and you can complete your presentation because your time is over. So when they say that, you can only go for the conclusions part, but which are the points, you might be considering that which are the important point, you may not focus more on that. So practice time again and again, which is very, very important. Maybe you can take 1 or 2 minutes extra, but they don't allow you to go for 5 minutes or not. So correct. Again, that would end up in the negative side if they are stressing more on the time limit. Rehearse in front of a mirror or a friend. This is one of the major area when you are going to do your when you practice your presentation in the beginning, at least in the beginning. Is that correct? So why you have to do that? First, you can do it in front of the mirror. Sometimes I used to do that in front of the mirror, or when you have a, nowadays what I do is, I am not doing the practice the whole session. Suppose when I go for the paper presentations or the conference, what I do is I will rehearse it, I will practice it in front of my friends, because I feel more comfortable with those students, with those guys. They are my roommates, correct? So they are my roommates, and the person with whom I am staying is, they are my my college classmates. So correct. So I feel more comfortable with them. The same way, when you rehearse in front of a mirror or a friend, you need to look into that, how genuinely they are concerned about your career. So correct. So whether they are really going to give a exact feedback or not, that really matters, and they should not make fun of your presentations. Initial stage, that absolutely fine, everybody will make fun, but there are certain areas they should be very much concerned about your presentations. They should know the seriousness of your presentation. So only to those friends you do the rehearsal. So right, so they have to give a exact feedback. They should know what is the seriousness of your presentation. Then in front of them, you also have to be very serious when you are practicing it. When they laugh, you should not laugh in the beginning. You tell them that this is a serious presentation, this is a serious rehearsal that you are doing. So, correct? In the beginning at least. But after a period of time, they will get into that. They will know that they will be very serious about it. The beginning stage, don't make fun. So, correct? And when you practice more and more, of course, you will have changes in your presentations also. When you practice in front of a mirror or a friend, then get a feedback and work towards it. And there is another technique which you can do is, you can ask your close friend to shoot a video. Okay, so one is you can also get them the feedback. The other side, you can also have a look into the video also. So whether they give whatever feedback they gave, is that really correct? So, you can also go through the feedback. You can evaluate. You can analyze what sort of feedback they have given to you. And sometimes when you make mistakes in the video, you can also correct those mistakes also. It can be in terms of a body language or a sort of a facial reactions that you give. That also really matters. Then your eye contact, what sort of eye contact, the body language you use, whether you feel stressed by looking at your, the way you do your presentation, by looking at your video, is that making you feel stressed, or is that you are doing a presentations in the uncomfortable manner? All those things, by looking at your videos, you can also come to the conclusion. Is that correct? So one is you can get a feedback from a friend and ask them to shoot a video, or you do it in front of the mirror, or you can follow all three things also. So okay, that's how you need to practice. So rehearse all your points, what you prepared, rehearse with all visual aids, and practice again and again to manage time, and rehearse in front of a mirror or a friend, or ask them to shoot a video. Then you have a practice, and the practice is all about you have to make a strong start. That's why we, might have heard about, like, giving the first impression is the best impression. So, correct? Which are the ways you can start? Sometimes you can start with the emotional story, or you can start with a question. You can ask a question on the particular topic, or you can start with the quotations. Sometimes you can ask with the quotations, or sometimes you can ask with the, you can start with the statistics. So, correct? But it's all about how we are going to start. But in the beginning, make sure that they are very attentive, attentive to your presentations. So first 2 to 3 minutes would play a major role in terms of your presentations. Suppose if you fumble and if you are not able to do it in a proper manner in the beginning itself, it's sometimes very difficult to get the attention of your audience. So correct? The beginning itself, what you can tell them is, I would ask questions in between after some slides, or it's all about how you are starting your presentation. That really matters. Once you are into the topic, once you bring them closer to your ideas, then it's very easy for you to do the presentations for 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, no matter. But it's all about the how involved you are. That also you need to show. Show your passion through your movements and gestures, and you need to show the sort of image to your audience that you are into the topic, and you are prepared really well, and your involvement is really high on the topic. You are really attached towards the topic. So all those images that you need to show to your audience also. So correct. So how much the time you have taken, how much you prepared, what sort of knowledge that you have on that particular topic should be shown to your audience also. So guys, that makes audience to be very serious on the topic. They will be very attentive towards your presentations also. And don't forget to smile, and unless your topic is very green. Doesn't mean that you should not smile at all, but you have to smile in between. That's why you have a comic element in between, even in the thriller movies. Even when the movies trying to convey a social message, when even the movies try to convey very serious issues that happen in the society, still sort of comic elements they try to bring out. A satire, something is there in the movie. Why? Because you are not there to put everyone in terms of a struggle, so or stress, or so leaving the presentation cell in the in the silent mode. You are going to transfer the knowledge on that particular area. Maybe some of the points when you talk about, maybe little bit comedies, if you could include, yes you can, or some of the emotional stories, or you can include. Of course you have to have at least one story if it is a long presentation. So because at least you can divert their mind away from the it doesn't mean that the outcome of the seriousness which you are discussing about, that should not be deviated. But don't put so much stress on the audience side also. So that you have to be very clear. But sometimes you can smile. It always depends upon the topic that you are talking about, the content that you are discussing. When you talk about the serious content, don't smile there. The seriousness has to be there, and make sure that the audience are also into the content that you are discussing. So correct. So your facial reaction has to be there. When you are discussing about the emotional areas, then you should show them that you are very emotional on those areas. When you are talking about serious issues, then you need to show them that how serious you are on that particular topic. You are discussing about the seriousness and showing, smiling on that particular topic. It's not at all worthy of doing a better presentation. So, right? So make yourself that you are into the topic, and whichever topics that you are discussing, your facial reactions also has to be based on the content that you are discussing. Is that clear? Okay, so these are the areas which we talked about, like plan, prepare, practice, and present. So now what we are going to discuss about is the body language and the movement, which we talked about earlier. Here, particularly feet, hands, and eyes. These are the major areas audience would look at. Feet and body is all about the body language. Why we are stressing more on the body language is it's all about your non-verbal communications, one of the key elements of your presentations, and your composed open body postures, or your eye contact, your facial expressions, your hand gestures, posture, and the space that you maintain between you and the audience would play a major role. And those are the major areas of your body language also. So again, feet and body, you have to stand firmly and move deliberate. You have to be have a deliberate movement, and do not sway or shift yourself. When in the podium, and move at appropriate times during your presentations, like moving during the transitions. When you change your slides, maybe you can start moving here and there, but make sure that you are very comfortable doing that. And hands, um, what you can do is for the feet and body movement, you also should not stand in front of the screen. Suppose if you are displaying the screen, don't stand in front of the screen, and whichever the place, I used to do that, but you might be also doing that. So whenever you are going for the conferences, whenever you are going for the presentations, you have to look into the stage, where you can stand. The mentally you have to prepare. Maybe if I stand here, that you just see that whether you're going to stand in the left side or right side, whichever side you feel more comfortable with that. Mentally you prepare yourself. This is the area you are going to stand, and this is how you are going to display the PPTs or the visual aids. So how you are going to do that? That you have to analyze within your mind. Hands, decide on resting position. Don't put your hands on your pocket all the times, or don't fold your hands at the back. It should be the open positions, like open gestures. I think it is there on the previous slides. Okay, it's in such a manner. But it's all about how comfortable you are. When you don't feel comfortable with that, then don't take this stand and all. Don't just show your hands like this, and when you're stressed, when you feel more comfortable or uncomfortable on that, then don't do that. Whichever you feel more comfortable with that, you just go and do it accordingly. You have to do the presentation according to that. And eyes, look at your audience faces, not about their heads. Not about their heads, I have mentioned here. But if you are doing it in the auditorium, where if you have thousands people are there in the auditorium, you can still focus on the heads. So guys, if you feel you are uncomfortable looking at your audience eyes, what you can do is, maybe you can look at their heads. If you are looking at the heads of the second row, maybe the first row people thinking that you are looking at the second row audience. Second row people may be thinking that you are looking at the third row audience. It's correct. So no matter, that would not be in trouble. Suppose if you are in doing your presentation in SRM auditorium, where almost 3,000 4,000 people can accommodate, so it doesn't really matter. So guys, so anyway, you will be looking into one of the eyes of the audience. That really doesn't matter. But if you are doing the presentation within less number of, maybe less than 100 people sitting there and listening to your presentation, that really matters, that you have to have a eye contact towards your audience. What sort of eye contact? It doesn't mean that I have to look at the people who are looking at you are sitting at the first row every time looking at them. No, which makes the first row people also uncomfortable and makes you also uncomfortable because the first row people would be thinking that why the presenter is always looking at us. Are we making many mistakes? No. So what sort of eye contact you can have is so decide 1 to 2 seconds for the first row, 3 to 4 seconds for the second row, 5 to 6 seconds. You have to have a glance on those areas in different manner. First row, second row, last row, left side, right side, middle row. So you have to have eye contact in such a way when you are discussing on the particular topic whenever you are doing the presentation. That's how you are going to make use of your eye contact. So feet stand firmly and you have to have a deliberate movement. Hands decide on the resting positions. Sometimes you can keep on your hip. It depends upon you. You don't have to keep your hands on your hip in the beginning. Maybe when you are doing for the 30 minutes or 50 minutes, 1 hour presentations, after 6 to 7 slides, when you are the same way you can see the image here. These are resting positions. How you are going to do that when you are doing your presentation. This is the best technique which you could follow when you are doing your presentation. So correct. So this is what the body language and the movement is all about. Then verbal delivery, always use your own words and phrases, cut out jargons and slang words, and avoid technical terms unless you know the audience is familiar with them. So, guys, so technical terms in the sense, talking about the technical areas, the people who are not aware of it, talking about general topics is a different story. But technical terms, when you are using it, make sure the audience is very much aware of it. So, guys, when you talk about when you do something for the computer science students, you can talk about the certain technical areas. So, but when you go to arts and science students, you have to have what sort of knowledge that they have. Then accordingly, you have to talk about that. So, so first thing is know your audience. Then accordingly, you have to plan it out. If you may not have much knowledge on the audience, but it's better you talk to your organizer, get knowledge on that area, then you go and do your presentations. You should know what is the knowledge on that particular audience and what are the expectations they have towards you. Then accordingly you prepare your content, then you go and do the you have to deliver the presentations. Look at your audience and use vocal techniques to catch the attention. What happens is sometimes when you start doing a presentation, if it goes beyond 30 minutes or 40 minutes, it's very common thing that they lose the attention. Okay, but in order to get back, what you can do is you can sometimes you can still talk. You can just raise your hands towards, you can just show your hands towards the people who are talking and they try to get the attentions. Sometimes you can have a look at those audience. You have to have a instead of 3 seconds, you can go for 10 seconds. Looking at those set of audience. Just keeping a very close eye contact towards those audience, which will bring attention towards the content that you speak. That's how you can do that. So guys but don't ever stop your presentation. Don't look at the audience. So that is a last stage. If they are keep on putting you in trouble, maybe sometimes that usually you should not do that. Okay, because unnecessarily you are putting them in trouble. Okay, right? So don't do that. What you can do is you can just have a close eye contact towards those audience, or you can just show your hands towards them, but still you have to continue to speak what you are presenting. That technique you can follow to catch the attention of those audience. And myths, how much time we have here? Okay, 10, 11. Okay, so this is what the last thing that we are discussing. The myths and about giving presentation is all about good speakers are born, not made. But the fact is, good speakers take more time preparing and practicing than ineffective speaker. They don't blame somebody that the speakers are the good presenters or the born or that they are skilled. No, the thing is they take more time in terms of preparations as well as of practicing it. That makes them the effective speakers. And if I follow what someone else says and does, I'll be as effective as a person. Sometimes yes, but other people's styles are useful, but you must present it the way that you feel most comfortable for you. So guys, you can see a number of videos in YouTube, and you can also see I have an eyewitness towards different presenters. But what is the uniqueness that you have? On that, you have to do your presentations. And people who speak and look confident are nervous inside. Most speakers experience some type of nervous energy. Everybody. So for myself, yes, I also have a nervousness, within myself. So whenever I do presentations and whenever I start taking classes, so it is there for everyone. So okay, it depends upon the audience, who are your audiences are. Suppose the nervous energy, what sort of nervous energy that I have, when I'm teaching for you and when I'm taking classes. So maybe when I'm doing a sort of presentation in front of my faculties, when I'm doing the presentation, maybe a board of directors, those are a different story. So it's sort of energy that I have would be would increase little bit high. So correct. So at least in the beginning, everybody has. It's nothing wrong. But the only thing is you keep that aside, and still you have to boost your confidence whenever you are doing your presentation. So guys, it's nothing that good presenters would never have a nervous energy. No, absolutely everybody will have a sort of nervous energy within themselves. And I do not have enough chances to practice, so I will never feel confident. It's talking about the time. If you really want to practice, you will find a time. So guys, that is the fact is all about. If you really want to work it out, you will have plenty of time to work towards it, and you will have a time. And before I get up to talk, I feel psychological reactions. My heart beats faster and my breathing gets quicker. Those sensations means fear. So guys, that's a myth, which means sometimes you start supporting yourself, giving n number of reasons why you did not do your presentation in a better manner. So okay, no, suddenly I got a psychology reactions and my heart went faster, and I got a fear before. These are there, but the fact is the reactions signal that you are energizing yourself. Even the typical of Olympic athletes before they compete, even it happens for the even with Usain Bolt or whoever is going to do that. These are the very normal things. Okay, so the you can what you can do is um, what are the steps that you have taken to overcome from the psychological reactions. So from keep all the things away from that. So that's what really matters. This is what myths about giving the presentations. You always focus more on the fact, and you stress more on the fact, so that you can always give a better presentation. Okay, so as I said in the beginning itself, it's not the presenter or the public speaker. It's not only for the people who are very special. Anybody can become a better public speaker. Anybody can become a better presenter. So before we moving on to the conclusions part, what you can do is there are three major areas. Finally, there are three key components of good presentations. One is structure, which talks about interaction, content, and conclusion. We talked about the verbal delivery, body language, and movement, as well as the verbal delivery. These are the major areas. And last minute checklist, you should know is the room setup is properly done. Sitting can everybody can see the screen. Or equipment, or do you know how to operate the PPTs and other things? And have you checked your clothes, your appearance, particularly your dress code? After wearing your dress, stand in front of the mirror and see to that it's in a proper manner. So your dress code, you have worn it in a proper way. So can you just check it out before you go and stand in front of your audience? So correct, that you have to do. And particularly for both, for girls as well as boys, wear a proper dress code, and very professional dress code. Don't wear party wears and bright colors. And for girls particularly, go with a proper dress code. So correct. And boys also. So it should be very proper dress, and formal ways you need to go for the presentations. And what are you key? Maybe sometimes what you can do is, have you checked your clothes appearance? Do you know what to say in the openings? Maybe when you start, what are the points that you are going to talk about in the beginning that you should know? And what are the key points of your presentation? Do you know how you are going to close your conclusions part also? How you are going to end up your presentation? These are the ideas you need to prepare, and you have to have those ideas also. Regarding the room setup, displaying the screen, and how you are going to use the visual aids. Maybe do you know how to operate it? Your dress code and the key points for the presentations. Do you have it in your hand, or do you know how you are going to do the conclusions part? You have to have a clear idea on that. And talking about the conclusions, restate the main objective of your the key components. And for a Q&A session, who wants more details, you can ask them, and whatever questions that you have, you can also talk about that. And the prompting for questions, you can tell them that these are the set of questions that I often hear. Then you talk about the question, then you answer for those questions. So correct. So conclusion part is all about summarizing the main elements of your presentation as they related to original objective. And if applicable, what you can do is highlight some of the key point, crucial element of to the audience to take away for the takeaway. And you can also give them the signal that end is near. Sometimes when you go for the 1 hour presentation, in between you tell them that another 3 more slides, another 5 more slides, and another 5 to 10 more minutes, so that you can still get the attention of your audience. Okay, when you keep on talking, and when audience are not aware of the time limit, and sometimes they don't be very attentive for your presentation. You in between you tell them that I'm going to take another 20 minutes of time. Kindly bear with the you have to tell them that kindly bear with your presentations, so that you are going to take another 10 minutes. Okay, so you tell them that how much time you are going to take, and make it very clear. And presenting your idea to convince an audience is always sometimes it's a very challenging. So guys, sometimes it's very challenging, because sitting on the audience part and just looking at the presenter, sometimes it's a very difficult task. Yes. So guys, from your students, what I'm saying, but it's all about how well you have prepared your content, and your presentation is a new experience for everyone, including you, for me, for every presenter. Therefore, you should plan your presentation a way in advance, and make it some of the interesting message images that which you display, so that they are very much into your presentation as well. So guys, so you try to get the attention of your audience throughout your presentation. That's very, very important. So with that, we are going to conclude. We are concluding. We are closing our presentations on the presentation skills. So do you have any questions here? If you have any questions on this topic, you can ask me. If not, I would start taking attendance. We can do it. So guys, any question?
Sir, you talked about practicing in front of friends or in front of the mirror. I just wanted to ask one thing, that when you're practicing in front of friends, your presentation is different, because when you're going to actually present, they're going to be strange people. I mean, the audience is completely stranger to you, so you don't know anyone in the audience. So maybe it's going to be different there. So how can that practice be?
Okay, see, for that, we cannot ask 100 students to stand in front of you when you are doing the mock session. So the thing is, you are just minimizing the errors. So, correct? So the thing is, so when you just do it in front of the mirror, you just imagine there are 100 people, standing in front of you, and you just do it in such a manner. But as you said, what you said is exactly correct. Doing a presentation in front of the 100 people or 1,000 people, that is a different, thing. But that is how your first experience. You learn something out of that. But at least doing the mock session in front of a mirror, or in front of your friend, then you go and do the real presentation in front of 1,000 people, would always give you a sort of advantage than doing nothing in front of a mirror, in front of the mirror or a friend, and doing and standing in front of 100 people, always going to be the sort of a disadvantage. So you learn something at least before you go and do your presentation in front of 100 people. So at least you learn something. The one thing is, what you can do is, you just imagine there are 100 people, and just you are standing in front of the mirror and you are doing it. So it's all about how much you are boosting your confidence. So it's not a very difficult task here. They are not always there to disturb you when you are doing the presentation. They will quietly listen to your presentation. So correct. So when I am doing the presentation, even if there are 1,000 people or 2,000 people or 10,000 people standing in front of you, it will not make any difference. It's all about your mental energy what you have. So mentally, if you are strong, no matter, you can just think that there are no more audience, even 1,000 people are there in front of you, and if there are only two people standing in front of you, if you're not at all strong, if you're not at all confident, that would give you a sort of trouble that making yourself like thousands of people are standing in front of you. So correct, it's all about what sort of experience that you have and how much you are boosting your confidence and how you are presenting it. The way I'm saying that you have to do it in front of the mirror front is, they would always give up a sort of positive energy towards, because you have done that already, Mr. Correct? So when you do it in front of the audience, your confidence level would be really high. So I promise your confidence level would be really high, because no matter whether you did with in front of one or two friends, but you just imagine those two friends are the people who are sitting like 1,000 people in front of you, and just you go with the flow, and they would always give a positive energy here. I hope I have answered for your questions. Is that correct? Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
No, that would always give advantage. That is the only thing. But of course, you would learn many things only on the stage. Second, it's in front of a mirror or a friend. You may not learn in front of the mirror or your friend. You may not learn many things. But when you do it, it's like for a simple example, before you go and play for international match for a cricket, you in the net practice, what do you do? Same for doing it in front of a mirror or a friend. Is that correct? So that is the thing. That is, you learn certain skills, right? But when you do it in the playing a match, real match, that is a different atmosphere. That you learn different things. So correct? That is a different experience. But at the same time, doing a net practice also really matters a lot. Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
so what should we do if we fumble or make a mistake during a presentation or a speech?
No, that's why you need to practice more and more. If you fumble, so nowhere you are going to learn anything out of that. So, correct? So initially, if you fumble, what happens is, why you fumble is sometimes you forget certain points, so, correct? Or you might have lost your confidence by the way your audience looking at your face, or mostly what happens is you are not up to the content. So, correct? Your knowledge, what you have on the content, if you forget that, then you fumble. So correct? Sometimes when they ask a question for which you don't know the answer, then you fumble. Then you have to have a plan accordingly. If you don't know the answer, give them you don't try to answer for the questions for which you don't know the answer. You cannot, what you can tell them that I am not aware of the answer. Maybe I will come up with the answer. So later on, you can tell them the clear idea. Or there are a number of reasons why you fumble here. Why you fumble is when you don't practice on that particular topic. That is a major thing. When you practice, when you have enough content, when you are knowledgeable on that particular topic, there is no way to fumble in front of the audience. So correct, you are skilled. If you are
Sir,
skilled, yes.
so my point is that how should we recover? Like if I fumble, sir, how should I recover at the stage during presenting? What are the
Okay,
ways of recovering?
you have to move ahead with the other slides, yeah, other points. No, how will
Okay,
you
sir.
see? We cannot do anything here because there would not be anybody to help you out. It's all about boosting your confidence level. By boosting your confidence, that's fine. You missed out some of the points. Okay, just we focus on the next point. So correct. So what do you remember, you focus on that area. Suppose if you lose, if you don't know the answer for the, maybe if you're not if you forget the content for the first slide, you just read that particular slide. You don't stress on that particular slide because you don't know the content on that particular slide. Suppose when I show you the why you fumble is, sometimes you talk about resistor. Suppose if when I mention like a resistor, I don't know what does it mean by resistor. I prepared but I forgot. Why you will fumble here? Because when you stress more on the resistor, when you talk about resistor, you don't know what is the resistor mean. Quietly you move ahead with the acceptor. You don't stress more on the resistor. Why you will? Because because you don't know what is a resistor means. You studied, you prepared, but you don't know. You are standing in front of an audience. What you can do is you boost your confidence level. That you may show that you are confident. You confidently you talk about acceptor or seeker. What you can do is you can talk about all four areas. So correct, you talk about avoider, then you are moving ahead with the next point, a resistor. But your mind says that I don't know what is a resistor means. Then before you start fumbling on that area, fumble before that, you can talk about all four areas and cover it up, and then move ahead with the next slide. Now, that is a one thing that you can do in order to avoid that particular situation.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other answers? I'm sorry. Any other questions here from CSE 1 or what is that classroom? CSE G2? Okay, fine. If there are any more questions, you can also ask me in the next class. And for G2 section, kindly have a look into your attendance also. I hope I have showed you in the last class. But still, if your attendance is below 75, kindly have a look into your attendance. Yes. Okay, so thank you guys for attending today's session. After answering your attendance, you people can leave and take care of yourself. Stay safe. Happy Pongal to everyone. Say everyone. So the people who is there in our classroom. So G2 section. After answering your attendance, you people can leave. Thank you for attending today's session. 51.
Present.
52.
Present.
53. 53 Adnan. 54. 54. Kilaru Naga. Panendra Kumar. Okay, so 55 from G2.
Present, sir.
57.
Present, sir.
58.
Present, sir.
59.
Present, sir.
60.
Present, sir.
61.
Present, sir.
62.
Present, sir.
63.
Present, sir.
65. 65 Shubham.
Present, sir. He wrote in a chat.
Sir, he wrote in the chat.
I hope he has recovered from corona, right? He was what was the issue here actually with Shubham?
Sir, he was COVID positive
Oh yeah.
for a
Okay.
certain period of time.
Oh, okay, fine. And 066 Aditya.
Present, sir.
68.
Present, sir.
69.
Present, sir.
70. 70. Tariq.
Left the college.
Say. And 71.
Present, sir.
72.
Present, sir.
73.
Present, sir.
24.